taxes.
I will
To see if we can get any
I
bites.
will look into some online auctions, because you gotta be careful too. There's also, online auctions, they don't do it for nothing. They're gonna want a piece of whatever it's sold
You have
for.
to pay a premium.
Pay a premium, or
Usually it's 10%.
there is also the one that Mr. Martinez found, that the buyer pays the premium.
Yeah, the buyer pays the premium.
Well, there's the ones that the seller sells, there's all kinds of them. So I will
Usually
talk to
it's
Mr. Martinez, we'll interview that one company that he found, and we'll go ahead and put them on the market for the minimum bid of the taxes.
Well, I would suggest just put 0, and the buyer is responsible for taxes.
Well, the first question out of the mouth is how much is the tax?
Oh, yeah, right.
So you might
Well,
as
they
well
gotta,
get
they gotta do that. I mean, but if you put that 25,000, they're gonna probably think 25,000 and I have to pay the tax.
No, it would be explained that this,
Put the reserve in at 25,000.
we'll word it properly so that they know they don't have to pay 25 plus 25. That we just want to get it back on the tax rolls.
Okay, can you check with the land bank and see what they can?
As I said, I'm meeting with them Thursday, I have a meeting on another matter. I will bring it up and see if there's any way.
I guess,
Go ahead, Mr. Hunt.
I guess my question is, why would we have to put on a front and they have to give us 25,000? Can we just sell the property and they deal with Cook County?
You can do it either way, it doesn't matter. Whatever way.
I mean, I
board
think you
wants
might get more bites if you put down a lower amount, people do the research and they figure out if they win, they have to tax it.
to do. That's fine. We can list it, the property is 0.
Disclose it.
I mean, no, you can disclose it, but
disclose that.
I'm not saying not disclose, I'm saying disclose it, but they can deal with Cook County and paying taxes. They don't have to deal with.
Right.
But they might not pay.
No, they're gonna
No, they gotta pay what
it.
they gotta
Clear
pay.
deed.
I think the best answer I can give, I'm not a professional online broker. No offense to Mr. Hunt, but not either. I'll see what they're recommending, and I'll bounce it off the board and see if that's what they
Right,
want to do.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Want to move on now?
Yes.
Dancing with the Stars is almost over.
Right there.
Okay. Next one, housing update. Trustee Henyard has to have this second one put out.
One thing that came to my attention today, Denise will like us to look into the certificate. We now give a certificate when somebody does a rental. We give the landlord a certificate. Normal Section 8 just either put pass or fail. But we do have an ordinance in place that requires us to undo the ordinance. So we're not getting a certificate, we just write pass or fail. So my, I guess, question is, what would you guys like to do about that?
Which homes? Just,
The certificate
I mean,
for
for
rental,
rental, all rentals?
just for all rentals. We have an ordinance in place that says we have to give a piece of paper when they pass or fail. So normally, like for instance, when Section 8 come in and check any of my property, they have a little card. And they normally write pass or fail on this little postcard. But they don't give me no certificate or nothing like that. And most municipalities don't give certificates either.
What are the ramifications if somebody wants to pass?
You still write them up. You still report. They still do it on their little
Write them up,
iPad, and they still mail you the fail report. You have to still do your work.
Don't they get a copy of the inspection report that says pass or fail on it?
Yes, yes. But it's, what I'm talking about, I'm talking about two different things, right? Denise,
No, I don't understand.
Okay. Okay, say for instance you got a rental property, and say it's, for instance, Section 8 requires it. You come to the village, you fill out your form upstairs with Denise. She then send the inspectors out. The inspectors then say yay or nay if you fail or pass. So say for instance if you fail, you're gonna get a report that says do X, Y, Z, plumbing, electric, drywall, whatever, right? Once you complete the work and it's done, it goes back to Denise, and Denise then give you a, what is it, owner occupancy
Certificate of compliance.
of compliance. There you go. You get a piece of paper, it's a big form, they call it. All she's saying is that she want to cancel the form out and just give you pass or fail, and not give out the piece of paper.
So the people are gonna know right then and there whether they passed or failed, and then they're gonna, so not only do they know, hey, you didn't pass this, and you will be receiving something in the mail in 2 days, 3 days, and you're gonna have this long to be in compliance.
Correct. It's the same way. You come
Well,
up, come on, you come up and
Actually, with,
It does.
But then after that, they give us a certificate. So, we got a certificate on it. She said she wanted to cancel.
well, with the new technology, what we really want to do is have the inspectors go out with the iPads. They're able to key in. We have a new online housing inspection application, so they can key it in. They'll be able to give you a card that has your number, ID number. The owner will be able to go online, pull it up, and then they can fax that or email it directly to Section 8, which omits us from having to type up a certificate. Because right now that is labor intense, and we don't have the real staff to keep doing the same thing over and over again when we're just reinventing the wheel. So since we already have that ability, it doesn't make sense to issue the certificate. However, the ordinance today states that you have to issue a certificate of compliance. I've already talked with Section 8. They say it's because Dolton said they had to have a certificate of compliance. I was talking with the village clerk, so I think we don't need to do that. We can just have the certificate. It's actually, if you see the report online, it really looks very nice and professional. It has Dolton, it has the emblem, our village seal and everything, and it says a big pass or a big fail. If it fails, it has all of the items checked that the person needs to do. Once they comply with that, we will go back out again, and then when they pass, it has a pass score, and then they can send that in.
Question, because if the right people was in this room right now with the verbiage you're saying, it looks like you are going directly after Section 8 people. And I understand, but is this all rental properties?
Just
Well,
Section 8
Or is
requirements.
this just,
All rental properties have to have an inspection. All rental properties have to pass.
what?
But Section 8 requires the form, based on our
Yeah,
ordinance.
yes. Okay, the way you're saying it is like Section 8, Section 8.
And I'm saying
I
it
understand what you're saying.
because it was such an issue this year with Section 8. I don't know what had happened, but I began talking with them. They were sending people here even this year for last year's inspection to make sure that the person passed. They were abating people money, meaning they don't think they passed, they stopped their money. So I got this influx of residents coming in, landlord owners, trying to get that. So I think that's just a step we could eliminate. And we're trying to be more efficient.
And Denise, is there some kind of way that we can kind of not stop it, but, just say, okay, for right now, so that we can get caught up, where we can say, oh, no more for right now, from this month to this month, because we have to get caught up with our inspections for the homes we already have here to make sure that they're in compliance.
Right, it's
Or-
not an inspection, we're talking about just a piece of paper. She just said she wanna eliminate the paper.
I know, what I'm saying is,
You still getting a
are all
pass or
the,
fail.
no, what I'm asking is, are all these homes in compliance? Are we going back to make sure that the homes that we have in our community now are in compliance and they've done their inspections?
That's all still being done, that's what I'm saying. All she
Okay,
asked us
that's
to
what
do is cancel out the paper.
If I could.
No, we're not supposed to, can I get order? No, she's not going back. All she wants to say is that from this point on, we like to change the ordinance and eliminate the certificate, the extra step of
Right.
certificate. So on the inspection report, it will say pass and fail. So that, it's just kind of like duplicating the process. Yeah, just taking one less step away,
That's it.
but everything else will be in place.
Okay, I was
You know
just
what I
asking because, yeah, it was a
She's not going
situation
back.
that
It's
happened
online.
before. And I was hoping someone get in and they were,
Yeah.
with us. We didn't have that.
No.
That's
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
We are all good.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fields.
okay, my last question was, just housing. When I was door knocking, I was getting a lot of complaints, due to tenants, I'm gonna say tenants and renters. Situations where there's, violence, music, too much drama at a household, people over the yard. What could we do as a board to protect the residents, people that actually own their homes from the tenants that rent and don't care about it? What can we put in place?
We have an ordinance in place. It's almost, it's like a nuisance.
Yeah, crime free,
Pardon me?
crime free, to my crime free,
Yeah.
crime free.
We have an ordinance in place, it's just up to the officers to enforce it. And they do in fact enforce it when they get the complaints. We may want to get it, we may want to stiffen it.
How can we tie that into housing, so housing know how many calls are on that property? So, once they get the 3 calls, it'll become board.
Housing can simply call over to Buds and ask them, do we have any calls on that property? And they'll pull
Right,
it up.
I know, I understand call, I don't per se want to do it like that, I want it to be like digital, so like, say for instance, if it go in y'all system, it'll hit the lease system, so now she know how many calls are on that property.
That's a software issue.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just
We
like
need a
what we got.
database that's created to handle it.
So can we put something like that in place? That's all I'm asking.
I mean, there's a cost to it, yeah,
Right, we just
but
count.
there's a cost to it, but the dispatchers, and a lot of times the police do this, they check on the history of the house. And they can go back, they keep it in their database there, they can go back and say, we've been to this house 10 different times, and they can give that officer that's arriving in that house what they've been in that house for. So I'm not sure, this is Representative Buzz here, I'm not sure how far they go back, how many years, but on occasion I hear on the radio officers requesting the history of that house, and that helps them to determine the enforcement action they want to take and go forward with it. But tying it in with housing, I'm not sure if we can even tie it in with housing, in regards to privacy and things like that, but I'm not sure, but there's definitely going to be a cost to get that system to be talking to each other.
So what report are they getting me if they call the police to find out how many times they was called to the house? What is being given? What information?
They asked the dispatcher, can you give me a history of this house? The dispatcher can come back and say, we've been there for domestic violence, we've been there on a gun charge, we've been there on a multiple arrest, loud music.
Right.
So they
Narcotic
get that to-
complaint.
So that's what I'm saying. So if they can say that verbally, why can't they put it through software?
That's what I just said, they can put it through software, but there's a cost of doing that, tying their computers into the police, to dispatch. So, but if there's been a problem, you could call the chief or call someone over there, and you know, he can make it available to you, the history of that house. But there's a cost to putting that in place. I'm not sure where you would stand in regards to privacy. Having the police have a little bit more privileges in regards to investigations and responding to calls. I'm not sure if we violate any privacy, we have to check on that to have housing to go into that.
I don't think you would. I mean, it's public record on our dispatch, how many calls we got there. You can pull
Yeah.
that up.
How many,
Yeah, but at this time,
what type of calls?
if they, pardon me?
How many calls is a public record? Type of call is a different issue.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, like I said, it would be a software issue, it would be a cost to try to implement that. But Denise could call and say, hey, has there been any problems on this block? A lot of times when people buy houses, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They come in the morning time, see what the neighborhood looks like. Come after school, see how many kids out on the street. Come at night, see how many cars are parked. So,
I will say this, I don't even believe that the type of calls is concealable, because I see it in the newspapers all the time. They talk about places where people got murdered or whatever, and they talk about, the newspaper reporters run down the history of the house, so it's all public information. As
Okay.
far as, they're not gonna tell you who got arrested, they may tell you, we got 8 calls for domestic violence, it resulted in 2 arrests, 1 in June, 1 in July, whatever, it's all public record.
yeah, okay.
I thought at
But
one
she
time
wanted to,
with housing, they had a program that they put in place that said if there's so many calls to a certain house, that they're automatically in trouble for that.
well, where she's coming from,
It's a crime-free.
Three strikes,
her
you're out.
question was, can there be a relationship between the housing department and the police department?
Right, so now you can start getting rid of the beds, because the problem you're having is a lot of people complaining about it, but nothing's being done
There's
about it
no
as far as
enforcement.
residents. Right. So now what do we do as a board to make sure they get enforced? And we got checks and balances across the board.
That's the enforcement aspect of it. We can pass any type of legislation that we want. The enforcement aspect of it lies upon the police department. And they may get the call, and to be quite frank with you, discretion is a big part of enforcement that the police officers do. You may get one police officer say, hey, if I come back here again, I'm locking you up. He comes back and lock everybody up. You may get another police officer say, hey, if I come back again here, I'm gonna lock you up. He comes back again, doesn't lock anybody up. So it's the discretion of the police officer to make the arrest and do the enforcement. We have to talk to the chief.
But we can't make it a mandatory enforcement?
When you make the legislation and it says that if they violate X amount of rule or X amount of ordinance, then there's a prescribed penalty. Now, that prescribed penalty is if the enforcement action is taken. That's if the arrest is taken. Now, and here again, I said it's discretion of the police officer. Some police officers may let you go at 5 miles over. Some may write you at 5 miles over. But you know, when it comes to a situation where it's been multiple times, multiple instances in that house with a multiple same type of violations, and the police officers respond and they don't take enforcement action, that's when you need to talk to the chief and say, hey, they've been there, they're still doing it, nobody's been arrested. What are you gonna do about it, chief?
Well, I would say if we have multiple calls at a house, I'd say that the odds are very likely that somebody's going to jail. If officers know it's a problem area, my rule is always, if we can't solve the problem there, bring the problem into the station. Bring the problem in with us.
Trustee Pearson has had some incidents at the same residences for the same violations, and no one seems to get arrested. And he's brought it to my attention. I made contact with certain officers, and nobody still got arrested. So that's something you may want to talk to Trustee Pearson in regards to the enforcement aspect.
And I do not. I experienced the same thing that Trustee Henry's experiencing. I'm knocking on doors every day, and the biggest complaint I get is, what are you going to do about this person that I called in 15 times about, or I called in 20 times about? And that's why I say we need to either make it a mandatory enforcement, and we've got to do something for that homeowner that's saying, hey, that's a renter, and I'm calling on them, and nothing's being done about it. So
Now,
we need to look at doing something about it.
now you have to look at being discriminatory towards the renter and the homeowners, because you got some homeowners that do the same thing.
I know, I'm just
So-
speaking of what
so
I'm
the
hearing
enforcement should be
from knocking on the
uniform.
door. It should be uniform
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
The ordinance would cover whoever it is.
Now, we need to, I guess, figure out a way where you have multiple incidents, multiple violations, and then really implement a crime-free housing, not just for renters, but a crime-free housing for residents, period, and take that extra step to make sure enforcement is taken.
Right, but the
Question,
point
isn't
of
there
that is just so that the tenant can be evicted per se. So
Right.
that the landlord can come back to town and get rid of the tenant. I don't want the tenant to stay in the property and they live next door to, say for instance, you and you have an issue with it, we're not doing it now.
Yeah.
Like if you go out to a resident, that's different, they actually own their home, don't get me wrong, they can get a fine or whatever it is, but my issues are the tenants, the people that really don't care and they just here for a year or 2 years. How do we fix that issue?
We just have to make
You
sure.
got homeowners that don't care no more than.
Right, take that extra step to make sure that whatever ordinance we have in place is implemented and go forward with the enforcement.
my question I've been trying to ask.
And we did it on a couple occasions where there was narcotics violations, where search warrants going and people were arrested and they were renters, and I personally talked to one of the landlords and he had them out within 30 days. So that's something we need to look at.
I have a question. Now, if I call, isn't that documented somewhere? Every time you call the police? So, if I call June 1, I'm calling about residents such and such and such and such next door to me. June 15, I'm calling again.
We just talked about the history.
What I'm saying is, there seems to be not just no, I'm not gonna say no accountability, but if the paper trail is there, why has it become so difficult? And you say it's on the discretion of the officers. If we are saying, this ordinance is here, this ordinance has been here, this ordinance is here to protect the residents, there should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it, especially if whether it be a renter or a homeowner, if we're constantly calling and nothing is being done, it's really falling on the police, because I hate to say it that way, but you have to enforce it. If the ordinance is there and you know it's there, this is something you have to enforce. I don't know how they're gonna come together with housing to make that happen. Okay, this is the third time or the fourth time we've been to this resident, so now you all need to send this out to the homeowner and let them know that this is happening at their property and these people are about to be evicted, and these are some of the things that's gonna happen because of what's going on in their property. We're dropping the ball, it sounds like.
I would think that if they've been there multiple times, yeah, I would agree with the police chief, somebody's going to jail. Especially if it gets to the extent of, repeated in a short amount of time. I can't say this in every case, but they lock people up for that stuff.
I guess I'm questioning because if it were, not to say that it's not happening, but if it were happening in a more aggressive manner, we wouldn't be talking about this. We wouldn't be having these problems. Trustee Pearson wouldn't have these people next to him that he's complaining about. Trustee Brown wouldn't have problems. Trustee Hilliard wouldn't have problems. None of us would have the problems if it were being just a little bit more aggressive about it.
Please understand, Trustee Smith, even when people go to jail, they still have a court date. If they don't get convicted, doesn't mean they're gonna stop their behavior. Sometimes even if they get convicted or with these charges of disturbing the peace or whatever disorderly conduct, it doesn't mean they're gonna stop doing it. Sometimes officers show up, the disturbance is gone, or they've run inside the house. We can't kick the door down to arrest them or cite them for a noise complaint.
And to be quite frank with you, some people don't mind going to jail.
Yeah,
But maybe
a lot of people don't mind.
maybe we should make some of these signs
Mr.
mandatory.
Harris?
Man, start giving them a slap on the wrist and make it
I
hurt.
mean, if you got a noise ordinance and you go to a house and there's loud music, you enforce the noise
Make it
ordinance.
hurt.
And you don't give the officer discretion on it. If it's over so many decibels, he gets a ticket, and the officer can't decide whether, I'm not gonna give it to him.
No, even when we write the ticket, there's no guarantee they're gonna be made to pay it here when they come for the hearing.
Well, that's okay, but at least he gets a ticket.
I've written tickets on people and they haven't even shown up here to even fight the cases.
Really?
Yes.
Then you don't
Yeah,
need to
but we
make
send it
hurt.
to Stan, all we gotta do after that is send it to Stan, and maybe he can collect through the tax program.
Just like you say, they enforce that you're not supposed to be on the phone driving after January 1. But I see more people driving because it's like a little slap on the wrist. Sure, I'll pay $100. I see your hand up, Mr. Potter.
Okay, let's come back. I got one more issue on here. Code enforcement and inspectors. My issue is like, it's the difference between the two. I know we all think it's similar, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page as far as the definition of it. Code enforcement normally is on the outside. I'm not saying they can't go on the inside, but normally we hire inspectors to do the inside because they either electrical or plumbing. So I'm just making sure we're on the same page with that. That was it. And any other questions? I know I just got one announcement to make. Okay, my last announcement was, I'm gonna have like a town hall meeting. So Mary County needs to know if I'm having a town hall meeting, do I need to post for that? Or do I need to make it a housing committee meeting? Mary County?
If you are inviting members of your committee to participate in the session, then it would need to be posted as a committee.
Okay.
If you expect other trustees to be in attendance, that would constitute a delayed quorum, and it also needs to be posted.
Okay. Well, the day that I chose, y'all let me know if you're all okay with it, was November 1st, which is a Saturday. And the point of the meeting is to have them basically educate the residents, which is the tenants and the landlords, The first part of it, be 2 hours, like from 9 to, no, I said 10 to 12, and that'll be the landlord's fee. So we educate them on any new laws that we passed, or anything that they need to do, or what's expected of them, or how to upkeep their property. Then the second half, from 12 to 2, will be for the tenants. And that's also to educate them as well on the do's and don'ts, like the issues we're facing here. So if anybody got any input or anything they want to add to it, or something talking about, by all means, I would
Can't
love
do it on the
everybody to
8th.
be there. You can't what?
Can't do it on the 8th.
The 8th? It's called.
Only reason I say, I would like to attend, but on the 1st, I have inventory.
Okay. Anybody else? So that's it.
All right, Mr. Irvin.
Next item on the agenda is the expenditures of the 2014 A Series bond. The majority of the expenditures are in the Public Works Department. Mr. Stacy worked very diligently in preparing tear sheets, which are in your packets, documenting the prices for these items. I prepared a list back in October, the very beginning of October 2nd. I think I emailed it out to the board. It was also in a previous package. It's pretty much the same, except there were a few changes where in the one that I originally worked with Mr. Stacy, he wanted to get a couple of pickup trucks and a couple of SUVs. I've convinced him in a nice way saying that SUVs are not practical in the Public Works Department, that we should get more pickup trucks, because a pickup truck can have a plow put on it, whereas an SUV can't have a plow on it,
Yes,
or
it can.
shouldn't have a plow on it.
Yes, it
Or
can.
it can if we're willing to spend a lot more than $15,000 or $18,000 for it. We can buy a pickup truck for $18,000 with a plow attached.
Four-wheel drive?
Yes, sir. Mr. Stacy did his homework, he got bids from the state, he got local bids on all these products. There are 7 different categories, I'll go over them quickly. Steamroller, front load payloader, 2 attachments for the Bobcat that he currently owns, a backhoe loader. Actually, I have attachments down twice. Why do I have those down twice, Mr. Stacy? Why do I have the attachments down twice? Oh, the
One for a Bobcat.
one is for the Bobcat, one is for the backhoe. Then 4 pickup trucks with plows attached, 3 dump trucks to replace 3 dump trucks that are currently in place, and we've owned them since when, Mr. Stacy, those 3?
Which ones?
Pickup trucks.
Oh, they're
I'm sorry, the dump trucks with the plows and salt spreaders.
early 90s.
I think it was 86 to be exact. The total for those purchases would be $532,340.32. Tonight, we're not looking for the actual vote. It's not a voting board meeting. This is here to be presented. If there's any discussion, Mr. Stacy is here to answer. It would be on the agenda to be voted on the first Monday in November.
How much is that bond again?
$1.5 million.
Can you, I see, I'll read it here, demo of justice, can you add that total in here?
We just got the total less
Right, I
than an
know,
hour
but
ago.
I want you to
Yes,
announce
it
that.
is an
Add
item.
that in.
Okay. If we want to go through them all, then we'll go down to the 2 cars that are currently being used in Public Works that would be replaced with pickup trucks would be moved into the Code Enforcement Department. The other items that we have now, which we own 2 payloaders that are dead on arrival. We owe 3 dump trucks, and we have 2, how many pickup trucks, Olin? 2 trucks. Those, on the Monday meeting in November, we would be asked to be able to sell those as village surplus. And then the next item on there was housing. It was brought forward by the trustees to put this on the agenda as a demolition. Mr. Smith is provided with 1 demo right now. Yes, I am here to tell you that the monies that we have in the bond can be used for demolition. In the police department, we've already discussed at a prior meeting the copier that will be purchased and the roof repairs. Just as an update, Mr. Martinez has contacted the company via email last Thursday, I believe it was, to contact myself and Ms. Phillips, because the one that did bid, the lowest bid, is not a registered purveyor in the village, has not supplied us with any liability, hasn't done much of anything. I'm still waiting to hear from them. The total expenditures without Dusty's would be $607,602.
Can we,
Standing copy of, I'm sorry.
can we, talk about which number we're gonna go with for the demo for Dusty's? So that we can have the amounts, there's two different amounts on here. I propose go with complete removal, including the slide.
I propose doing one more
Doing one more what?
estimate
Or,
for the demolition.
oh, you mean for Dusty?
Why do you wanna hold it up more?
Well, I don't want to hold it up. You were talking about holding up stuff, but as much as this board has held up different stuff that was
There's no
important.
fight, I'm just asking a question.
I just said, I would suggest doing another,
I thought we was waiting on this from Robinson, that's what the hold up was, so.
It seemed like the cheapest bid is 32,000. I think we can just put room in there not to see the 32,000 maybe.
We would definitely have time to get another bid
Yeah.
because this
Cheapest
won't be
bid is
voted on
31,900.
formally until the
With the
first
concrete
meeting in
slab.
November.
Right.
So there is plenty of time to get a second bid.
Yeah, if I can speak, I just received the request on Friday, so I was scrambling, trying to contact contractors to get a estimate. So the estimates you currently see is from two demolition contractors, which we have worked with in the past. The bid, I think that you guys want to see would be to remove the structure itself and then also to remove the concrete slab. So the lowest bid you have is $31,900 for that, plus the addition of the county permit, which is $750. So like Trustee Hunt said, it would be $32,650, which is about $33,000. I guess is what the placeholder you want to put in there. But I am still waiting to receive two more cost estimates. I solicited contractors, and this is what I received today.
So once we get those other bids, we will submit them as we get them to the board via email. And then in the packet on the November meeting, there will be a recommendation, more than likely, for the least expensive, but making sure we'll check our qualifications also of who's putting the bids in.
Also, you have to take into account that one of the bids specifically identified the fact that if there is no hazardous waste, asbestos, or tank removal included in this bid, so that this bid may in fact go up. The other
No,
two,
there's nothing in there. Like they've got a copy of the asbestos analysis report.
okay, who did?
The contractors who put a proposal together.
Okay.
I think this is just standard what they put in here, Mayor. I mean, I talked to both contractors, then I gave them a copy of the asbestos analysis report, also a survey of the property. So
Okay.
they're well aware what's on the site.
We'll
So-
also be providing a statement from Mr. Murphy's office saying that the property is free and clear to be demoed against it. That will also be in the packet.
Well, I got a question about the demo. So if the board does approve it in next month, how long will it take for the demo? Could it be done before the end of the year or,
Of course, I would say less than a week.
so once we approve it, they'll demo?
I mean, the building itself, if you saw the picture of the inside, I mean, the building is basically caved in. And it would take a front loader, go in there, remove everything, and then it's a matter of hauling all the debris off of the site to a
I think
licensed
the longest
dealer,
process
that's all.
will just be, like Mr.
Yeah.
Smith is saying, is
I would
to
say
get
a
the permit
week
will
at
take
the
about a
most.
week.
And what I had thought about doing is let Public Works demo it, since there is no hazardous material and stuff there. All we would have to do is pay for the removal of debris. When you talk about a front end loader,
But then you have to remove the slab too.
yeah, I mean, the slab would have to be removed, which if we get the backhoes, we can remove the slab. We did
More than
the
that.
removal of those three garages there. So we probably could, even if the Public Works had put the front loader through it, all we pay is for removal of the
I'm not sure how quickly the items that Mr. Stacy is recommending we would get if we get the green light to order those, let's say the front loader and the backhoes on the first
That's
Monday
just
of
not-
November.
you know.
I don't know how quickly you would get those, do you know, Matt?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
How quickly would we get them once we order your equipment, the backhoes and payloaders?
Depends if they have them at different locations, they have to go and get them. It all depends on where they're at.
We talking weeks, days, months, you think?
Probably within weeks.
So so that we could, if the board so desires to demo it internally, we could probably do that.
And can you break
I have a question. There was insurance on this property. Where did the money go for the insurance that was on this property that it wouldn't be
You
covered?
asked me that earlier today. I surely didn't have time to research it to find out by this time this evening.
Maybe
I
Mr.
will look
Smith
at it
knows?
tomorrow. Pardon?
Does Mr. Smith know?
How would Mr. Smith know about where checks were
No.
deposited in the building?
Mr. Herzog would know.
I don't mean to embarrass you, but I mean.
Well, I
he would
think,
not
I
know.
think at one time they were talking about not being able to do demolition
Well, that's why I said we would
because,
make sure
and
that
Mr. Smith knew about this, because it wasn't able to be demolition because there was a tie-up with some sort of money.
Mr. Smith is saying over here that he knows nothing about the
I just knew there was no
insurance.
way to get it done, that's all I know. I was,
That's why I mentioned we will have clear go-ahead from Mr. Murphy's office that there is no leases, liens, judgments against the property before we tear it down.
When do we start?
He's been working on it since last week, Thursday, when we were asked to start this project.
We're talking about the demo.
No, about Murphy making sure that we can tear
Oh,
it
yeah,
down.
he's gonna write us a letter.
The clerk has just advised me that the village received a check for over $500,000 a couple months after it was burned down, insurance money. And it went into the general fund. I'm not sure where it went from there.
I have some more questions, but I have some other questions. I think you're still doing research on that. So we don't have anything for, so the police department is full, they don't need
They're
any.
still working on their presentation and their documentation that will be presented to the board in November. That you'll have a chance to review it. If they get it done ahead of time, I'm not going to wait until then. We'll send it out as soon as they get it.
Okay, and then the same for the fire department?
Fire department had made one request, that of a fire truck that was over $500,000. The last time I sat with the chiefs, waiting for them to put together their proposal, when I took what Mr. Stacy had, the roof, and the police vehicles, we were over $1 million at that point. There wasn't a lot of money left to buy a fire truck. And when I talked to Mr. Stacy said the truck that the chief wants to replace, yes, it needs some work on it, that we could invest several thousand, I won't say $2,000 or $3,000, it'd be $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, could put it into shape and it would last a few more years. So at this point, I just made the decision that the fire truck, what's more important? The public works pieces, or the fire truck, or police and the fire truck? The fire truck is a huge potential. It's over $500,000 by itself, one piece.
How much I hear a lot about this, and maybe Chief Hughes might know. How much is that 911 switch? Because it seemed like we purchased that, we're gonna bring in revenue of 100,000 extra, that's probably.
It was around 700 to 800,000.
Can we use the money to just start a down payment on it? We have to buy it all up front. Remember you bought it like a lease?
Well, we're still talking about what we're going to do. We're still investigating the grant process too. So, I mean, we put that on the back burner. If you want to talk about it again, we can certainly talk about it again.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be putting together some hard numbers. I mean, everything's floating around back and forth. Where I talked to Stan this week about getting some hard numbers.
One of the issues, as Mr. Pearson is talking about, is we've all received a proposal from Buds. I need to talk to Buds because that proposal needs to be tweaked. Mr. Buds, for lack of better words, is just coming back into town this week. I've asked the chief to set up a meeting when he gets into town so that we can refine that and look at what, is there really a savings by staying with Buds? In that same breath, I've had conversation with Mr. Pearson over the weekend. As the chairman of the Committee for Police and Fire, he's directed me to start looking and to get real hard numbers on what it would cost to upgrade our system, meaning the 911 dispatch center. We're not talking a couple $100,000. We're talking a few $1 million. But it can be leased. I just have to get real numbers.
Can we use part of the bond proceeds to do the down payment? of it?
I don't know, I'll find that out because I have a meeting with the leasing people on Friday this week. to see. I know that if I bought something hard like this or a switch, yes. To buy something and use it as a down payment, I don't have an answer tonight. I will find out.
And how is this going to affect the present contract we have with William State? Because.
If we do our own 911 in-house?
Right, because don't we owe them as well?
No, ma'am, we're up to date with them.
We are up to date with
Yes,
them?
ma'am. Pardon?
We're going off the agenda.
I'm just answering questions.
Thank you, Trustee Brown.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
It would not affect, it would affect, we would have to notify them in writing that we are canceling, there is a cancellation clause in the contract. So it wouldn't cost us anything to cancel the contract.
Okay, with everything that you have submitted for the bond, where we at, what's the balance this left?
Well, if we take 607 away from $1.5 million, you're basically about 900,000. Last time I had conversation with the chiefs, the police departments was just around $300,000.
Chief, what is the dependability of the units that we have with the fire truck?
Right now, again, there's one out of service. They're constantly going down. They are beat up. They've been on the road for 10 years, running over 4,000 calls a year. We have spent a ton of money fixing them. Every other day, something's breaking on them. Now,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
when Trustee Hunt is talking about down payment, that was one of the things I was thinking about. I don't know if the board is looking to roll this bond over again or so forth, but if we could work something out where we only pay $60,000, $70,000 for the first year of this engine, and if you roll the bond over again next year, we could then pay it off.
What about, can we find out what we've spent, just say, over the last 3 to 5 years for maintenance for the trucks that we have? Can we?
Chief, you can contact the department upstairs and ask them for that amount.
Why don't you ask them, Stan, instead of the chief, because what are the issues?
I'll be happy to do everybody's work.
It's not everybody's work.
Yes, it is, sir.
It's not.
We're going to have words privately. I'll be happy to
You can ask for what you want. It's not, one of the biggest complaints is that everybody keeps going upstairs asking for stuff. Yeah. So you want to send the chief up there and have him ask for it?
I may be asking for the
Please
wrong
ask,
thing.
please ask them for the.
Fine.
Anything else?
I have nothing else other than the next item on the agenda.
Okay, next thing on the agenda.
Next item has been brought forth by trustee.
No, I'm sorry, I do have one thing. Stan, I would like, instead of us giving us pieces like this and saying just approve per words, I made the decision myself that we shouldn't do the fire engine truck because it was so expensive. I'd rather you give us all of this, even if it's like $2 million, and we only got $1.5 million, and let the board decide which things should be taken off of this. I would like to know that the fire department requested a truck, and you said basically.
I gave a full list on October 2nd via email.
Well, I think you said the police is still working on a list, so I was
waiting for solid.
But is that the final one?
No, it's not, but it was on there.
If it's, yeah, so I was just saying, no, not to say anything about the police fire, I was just saying, I would rather approve the complete amount of how much we're gonna spend, and if we have to trim it, let's trim it as a board, not saying, well, I decided that we should, I'd just rather trim it as a board, that's all. That's my suggestion.
At November meeting, every item will be on there. All right.
That was
Next item is presented, brought forward. This will be the final discussion time, it'll be put up for a vote at the first meeting in November. It's the home-based daycare ordinance that was reviewed and redrafted by Mr. Murphy's office. It is in your packet.
I had a question on page 5. For the number of children to be cared for.
Oh, you want it?
Page 5, what now?
Page 5, number 2. For the number of children to be cared for, can we add, like updating with the village, so like say if it's a fire, that the, fire department know how many people is in that, home daycare? And then, I don't know, which one was your bullet points on the printout you gave us? Remember I had asked you to add, if they come and get their license, can you make sure that all the bills are paid, meaning any debt, whether it's a ticket or a water bill?
Which one is that?
I don't know,
Well, we moved them around, but
I didn't find it bullet point. That's it, that's all I need.
I'll put a note on number 2.
And also, Pearson, check out page 13, number 30.
Okay.
It's a random test. At first sentence, I think there's a misprint on that.
Where?
Yeah, once every
30.
30 years. At the
It
bottom.
says at least,
30.
should be 30.
Number 13.
Every
No,
three
no,
years.